Morning, all. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Friday, May the 2nd. And as you can see, a little more news than we had yesterday. That does happen when you have so many teams get knocked out of the playoffs the same night. You could have some news the day after. Starting off at the top of the board, and the reason why I'm wearing a New York Rangers jersey. Mike Sullivan has been hired as head coach of the New York Rangers. No surprise there. We knew once Pittsburgh parted ways with him that he would have no problem finding another job. And all the best to Sullivan, trying to get this Rangers team all on the same page. The Rangers are a very talented team. Just, it didn't quite add up for them this season, but they're a team that I would not be surprised to see have a bounce back next season. Juuso Parssinen has also signed an extension with the New York Rangers. It's a 2-year deal. The cap hit, $1.25 million. Parssinen, a guy who, they picked up at the deadline, they decided to hold on to. So we'll see how things go for Parssinen next season. 2 awards finalists that we can discuss. The Bill Masterton finalists. I didn't put these in an order that I think they'll win it because it's the Masterton. I think all 3 of these players are absolutely worthy of the award. Marc-Andre Fleury, his final season, of course. Gabriel Landeskog, who stuck with it for 3 years through injury before making his return to the National Hockey League. And Sean Monahan and everything that Columbus went through and everything. I mean, Monahan winning the award would be nice as well. So, yeah, there are definitely 3 very worthy candidates for the Masterton Trophy this year. The Selke Finalists, and I did get a kick out of the New Jersey Devils account posting the "Are you sure about that?" meme, because Barkov of the Florida Panthers, Reinhart, also of the Florida Panthers, and Cirelli of the Tampa Bay Lightning are your Selke finalists. And what the New Jersey Devils were getting at was Nico Hischier. A name that I saw too on my social media feed was Seth Jarvis, and that Jarvis had an excellent 2-way season and should at least, have had some consideration for the award. But it is Barkov's award. Barkov, I'd be shocked if anybody but Barkov won it. Reinhart might have an outside chance, but I think it's Barkov's. We'll see what ends up happening. The ECHL is expanding. So, at a time where there's discussion about whether or not the NHL might, for the ECHL, they're expanding to Rio Rancho, New Mexico for the 2026-2027 season. It is apparently 30 miles from Albuquerque, and it's a 7,000-seat arena they're going to be playing out of. So, yeah, hockey in New Mexico. I don't know that I've seen that at the ECHL level before, but maybe. There could have been an Albuquerque team in the ECHL. But either way, good to see. And this is going to be the ECHL franchise apparently for the Dallas Stars. So, yeah, and that starts play not this coming season, but the season following. Lots of time to ramp up and get ready. And I know they can't be called the Isotopes. I know there's already an Albuquerque Isotopes, or has been. But it is the first thing that came to my mind was the New Mexico Isotopes. I know it's not going to happen, but it was the first thought I had. The Minnesota Wild, a very dubious record that they've set for themselves. They are the first team out of the 4 major sports or major leagues in North America, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, or NFL, to have made the playoffs 8 or more out of 10 seasons and not got out of the first round. So I feel like the Vikings, you could have some sort of record for them when it comes to futility. You could probably find a futility record as well for the Timberwolves. It's Minnesota. I'm really rooting for things to turn around in Minnesota. Absolutely 100%. And maybe next season, but I would totally understand frustrated and discouraged Minnesota fans at this point in time. But they will have cap space to make additions this summer. And that's something I'll be taking a look at some point. So, Tampa Bay Lightning. Whether or not Coach Cooper was going to return was a question mark. And he's got 1 year left on his deal. Julien Brisebois saying today that John Cooper will stay on for next season. He also revealed that Isaac Howard, your Hobey Baker winner, he is unlikely to sign with Tampa Bay Lightning. He wants some say in where he goes. So Isaac Howard might be traded as soon as the draft. I would think if they're that sure that he's not going to and that they're going to talk about it publicly, I think him being traded at the draft would make some sense. And Vasilevsky, I love Vasilevsky's compete level. I do. I remember 2019, he was not happy. He wasn't having any of the jokes about them choking in the first round. He didn't think any of it was funny. and he's not laughing now either. Used some choice language, so I respect that. I do. Being that honest, he basically vented after another playoff loss at home, and he's very frustrated. And he said he was frustrated right from the first game. And for the Tampa Bay Lightning, dating back to 2022, they've now lost 12 of their last 14 home games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is unacceptable. The Tampa Bay Lightning, a team that has had their share of playoff success, but that seems to have gone by the wayside, and now we're looking at them and where they're at. And Tampa Bay is an interesting one because they have all of the pieces you need for a win. I wasn't the only one that took them to beat Florida in the first round. There were a lot of people took them to beat Florida in the first round. We all had that blind spot. Tampa Bay struggled at home in the playoffs. And also the expectation that Florida had struggled going into the playoffs, and you don't know how guys are going to play in their returns. Yeah, they were fine. So for Tampa, definitely a soul-searching moment here, and we'll see what Julien Brisebois does to address the team's needs in the offseason. But they're still close, and that's the tricky part as general managers. You got a team that feels like they're close to, and they could be a cup champion at some point. But what do you add? What do you subtract in order to get that last little bit without risking the chemistry you already have on the roster? Matthias Echome is doubtful to play in the second round for the Oilers against Vegas. That's a pretty hefty blow, and Vegas is going to be a tough one for the Oilers. Absolutely going to be a tough one for the Oilers. We'll see how that series ends up going, but yeah, without Echome, that definitely hurts. The one thing I would say, though, for the Oilers is it does feel like everybody's bought in at this point, and it's not just the McDavid-Draisaitl show. So as long as they still have all that depth and they're able to, get the production where they need it, I think the Oilers are going to be it's going to be a great series either way, I think, between the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Patrick Laine had a broken finger. That's why he missed the last few games of that series against Washington. Montebo, on the other side of things, he suffered a double groin tear. So the fact that he was able to walk off the ice is remarkable, because I think I'd need a minute. I don't think I'd be walking off the ice. So Montebo, it's a few weeks to a few months for the recovery for this. So he'll be good to go for training camp. But it is a shame for Montreal, because while Dubious played well, he's not Montebo. And that's just the reality of it. So all the best to Montebo in his recovery. Before tonight's game, the Winnipeg Jets calling up Jaeger. So no confirmation yet whether or not he's going to play, and then further smoke added to the situation. Nick Ehlers in a normal jersey at morning skate. So whether it's gamesmanship or whatever it is, the Winnipeg Jets definitely keeping us guessing, and probably keeping the Blues guessing as to what the lineup's going to look like for tonight. We shall see. That game is tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. It is the only game in the National Hockey League. We just have one game tomorrow as well. I was thinking maybe the NHL, with all those game sixes that ended with the series being over, that maybe a game one would appear on the weekend. To this point, no. Now, if Winnipeg wins tonight over St. Louis and we don't have a game 7 on Sunday, I still think there's a possibility we'll see series on Sunday, because the NHL doesn't like to have a weekend day without hockey games going on. At this time of year, they want to have those playoffs. They want those views. And obviously ESPN, TNT, Max, all them. All the American holders, and Rogers up in Canada too, while we're at it, probably prefer a game on the weekend for ratings over a game on a Monday or a Tuesday. But we shall see. So the AHL last night, we had 3 games. Rochester completed the sweep of Syracuse with a 4-0 victory. So they move on to the next round. They might as well just pull up a seat. Could be a while. Rockford won over Milwaukee in overtime, 3-2. That's the first game in that series. And Abbotsford, a bit of an upset here. They scored the victory over Coachella Valley, 3-1. Abbotsford ahead 1-0 in their division semi-final series. And there's 4 games tonight in the AHL as well. I figured I could start adding AHL scores to the board as the NHL schedule becomes a bit lighter. Then I can devote some attention and time as well to the AHL. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, how do you think Sullivan's going to do in New York? Is this a sign the Rangers go right back to the playoffs next year? It could be. I think Sullivan's the kind of coach that could turn things around. And what does that do for other coaching vacancies around the National Hockey League? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.